Welcome to Sunday School for our junior students for October 15th, 2023. I do not own the rights to this music. The title of today's story, A Promise is a Promise. I know that's not true, Mike said confidently, but that's what he told us. Ray responded. He said he would do it for every member of our class. If we remember all of our memory verses this quarter, he said he is going to take us to the circus when it comes to town next spring for free. No way, Mike said. There are 14 students in this class, and good seats will cost about $20 each. That's, he paused as he calculated in his head, $280, and Mr. Mason just lost his job. There's no way he could afford to do that. There's no way. I believe that. It's just impossible to believe. It might be hard to believe, Ray said, but he wouldn't have promised it if he couldn't do it. So I believe him. Promising a large class a free trip to the circus was certainly a big promise, especially for someone who had just lost his job. Have you ever been promised something that you found hard to believe? Was the promise kept? Our lesson scripture for today is coming out of Genesis chapter 17, verses 15 through 17, Genesis chapter 18, verses 9 through 15, and then Genesis chapter 21, verses 1 through 7. Before any promise is made, the one making it needs to be certain that it can be kept. Sometimes promises are made that are beyond the ability of the maker to keep. That is what seemed to be the case in a promise made to two people in the Bible. Abraham and his wife Sarah were childless and well beyond the age for having any children. However, in spite of their advanced age, God told them that they would soon have a son. For both of them, the promise seemed absolutely impossible to believe. Our lesson scripture. And God said unto Abraham, As for Sarai thy wife, thou shalt not call her name Sarai, but Sarah shall her name be. And I will bless her, and give thee a son also of her. Yea, I will bless her, and she shall be a mother of nations. Kings of people shall be of her. Then Abraham fell upon his face and laughed, and said in his heart, Shall a child be born unto him that is 100 years old? And shall Sarah that is 90 years old bear? And they said unto him, Where is Sarah thy wife? And he said, Behold, in the tent. And he said, I will certainly return unto thee according to the time of life. And lo, Sarah thy wife shall have a son. And Sarah heard it in the tent door, which was behind him. Now Abraham and Sarah were old and well stricken in age, and it ceased to be with Sarah after the manner of women. Therefore Sarah laughed within herself, saying, After I am waxed old, shall I have pleasure, my Lord being old also? And the Lord said unto Abraham, Wherefore did Sarah laugh, saying, Shall I of a surety bear a child, which am old? Is anything too hard for the Lord? At the time appointed I will return unto thee, according to the time of life, and Sarah shall have a son. Then Sarah denied, saying, I laughed not, for she was afraid. And he said, Nay, but thou didst laugh. The promise of elderly people having a son is one that can easily be doubted. Abraham and Sarah had so much difficulty believing it that they both laughed at the idea. And the Lord visited Sarah as he had said, and the Lord did unto Sarah as he had spoken. For Sarah conceived, and bare Abraham a son in his old age, at the set time of which God had spoken to him. And Abraham called the name of his son that was born unto him, whom Sarah bare to him, Isaac. And Abraham circumcised his son Isaac, being 8 days old, as God had commanded him. And Abraham was 100 years old when his son Isaac was born unto him. And Sarah said, God hath made me to laugh, so that all that hear will laugh with me. And she said, Who would have said unto Abraham that Sarah should have given children suck? For I have borne him a son in his old age. Does this story teach you anything about God's promises? Question 1. How old was Abraham when his son was born? Question 2. Or number 2. Sarah was how old when she had her son? And number 3. How did they respond when told that they would have a son? The memory verse for today's lesson. For Sarah conceived and bare Abraham a son in his old age, at the set time of which God had spoken to him. And that's Genesis chapter 21, verse 2. How was Abraham and Sarah's child a sign of the covenant that God made with Abraham? How should you respond to God's faithfulness? Your challenge this week is to thank God for his faithfulness. The end. God bless you and thank you for joining me today.